Hello and welcome. I'm Carol DeChaine, your intuitive spiritual guide for practical matters. And today and this whole month, we're talking about freedom. This time and this week, we're talking about freedom from fear. Wouldn't that be nice? Fear can hold us back from so many things. I used to have this huge fear that would stop me from trying new things, and I never ever would have gotten on any kind of video or audio and spoken without a script in my life. It would have been give me the script, let me read it, or let me memorize it to get out there. I somehow along the line lost that fear when I was working with Marconic multidimensional energy because it raised my vibration so huge that I let go of a lot of that fear. There's still some left, but this huge chunk like left all at once. Fear is something that holds us back from doing so many things. And we may do it with the fear, which we call bravery, having courage in the face of fear. But so many times, if we can let go of that fear and take that step out, we're going to be able to do so much more and have so much better results because we won't have to face that fear and have that underlying what we're working towards. If we don't know if we can, for example, become a doctor because we have that fear that we won't either get good grades or we won't be able to cut it, it's too exhausting. I mean, they put doctors, thank goodness, through a lot in order to be able to become doctors. And we want them to because we don't want them touching us until they have enough experience. But that fear that you have can color everything. It can make things even harder than what they may have been otherwise. And fear is really just worry, but it can be magnified. And worry, they say, is praying for something you don't want. I just did a podcast on that not too long ago. So, praying for something you don't want. And why would we do that? But we do it all the time because fear kind of has those tentacles. They go out into the universe, and we're afraid that something's going to happen wrong, that isn't going to happen the way we want. And guess what? Self fulfilling prophecy many times. And sometimes that huge fear that we have, even the little fear we have, can hold us back from even taking those steps. And also, sometimes the fear we have will stop us from not only taking the steps, but we do take a few steps, but we might stop in the middle because whatever we dream of or we want at depth may be colored so poorly and so heavily with fear that we just can't seem to get beyond a certain point. And maybe we don't even start because the fear is too overwhelming and pervasive. And maybe the fear is that we don't deserve whatever it is we want. Perhaps we don't deserve to have love in our life, so we fear we don't, and so we end up with people that they don't treat us well. They don't treat us the way we should be treated with love and respect and joy and all those other things that you want in a partnership. At least most people want in a partnership. So that fear can hold us back. It can not only hold us back from even starting, like I said, but you may get the results that you don't want because the fear colors everything that you put out there. So, what do we do? How do we have freedom from fear? One way, which may not be your choice, is to have some energy work done. I did Marconics multidimensional energy, and that is something that will help you shift into a higher vibrational dimension because it's an ascension modality, but it also is raises you above the fear frequency. So that frequency of fear that scientists have found, it's this heavier density thing. And when you raise above that, it just sort of dissolves. If you've ever looked at someone with appreciation, and we don't do this hardly ever, maybe never, when someone's yelling at you or getting really upset and you look at them with appreciation, and some people call it love, but I'm calling it appreciation because I'm appreciating them for how they're all wrapped up in this, how enthusiastic they are about maybe the negativity. And sometimes they stop stuttering because they can't keep their mind on what they were talking about, even if they were totally invested in it because that feeling, instead of fear and going, what are they going to say to me? I shift into a different feeling all of a sudden, and I raise my vibration up so I don't stay down there with them. I raise it up a little and I appreciate them, and all of a sudden they go, I was what was I talking about? It's almost like they start stuttering in their brain, and all of a sudden they can't hold on to that lower vibration anymore. They entrain with you and they start raising up a little. So if you're in that fear, you're going to be down in this lower density with fear and guilt and frustration and anger and all of those heavy feelings. And that's what fear is. It's a terribly heavy feeling that we don't necessarily need to hold on to. But it almost feels like it's, I guess, fly paper. And the old fashioned things where they had fly paper with sticky stuff, where you take one foot off and you go, great, oh, now my other hand's stuck. And some of the old comedies, they used to do that, where you take one hand and then the other one was stuck, and then the foot would get stuck. And no matter what you do, you're stuck in this, whatever this is, this fear, this mire or quagmire of something. So getting loose can be difficult when you feel like every time you try and take a step away, you bring it with you or it's stuck to you. And fear can do that to us. We release the fear of one part of it, and all of a sudden there's a whole other step. It's like this other step of fear we have to let go of, because all of a sudden the deeper fear will come up. You go, I let go of this fear about this thing. Nope, here's another one. Don't want to jump out of an airplane? Well, no, there's a lot of ground, a lot of air between me and the ground. What if this parachute doesn't open? What if I die? What if fear, 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 fear? Yeah, I still am not going to jump out of an airplane. I don't feel the need. I don't want that rush necessarily. I can do that on a roller coaster. Thank you very much. Or on one of these drop zone things. But I don't even feel the need to do that. I feel like that adrenaline rush isn't something, that fear, that I need. I can find that adrenaline rush with joy and finding joy. And that's for me. That's just me. But if I can, you can raise yourself above the fear at all. One thing you can do, and let me give you a couple of examples of how you can raise yourself up. One was, yes, the energy work. And yes, I am a practitioner and I do offer sessions that help you move out either little by little, or we can shake you up and do it a little faster. But not only is there that, there's also this feeling not only of, you can feel it holding you down sometimes. It feels almost depressive, this fear. It's holding you back. It keeps you in. You don't try new things. Or if you do, it's with this, oh my God, what's going to happen? You may stay at the same job for 20 years. Or you may not want to stay at the same job because you're fearful that if you do, it's not going to work out either. You're having issues. And so you keep moving on all the time. It could be either one. What's underlying what's happening for you? How are you feeling? And sometimes it's really deep in our subconscious. We don't know it's fear. It's just something holding us back and we don't know what it is. Perhaps when you're looking at love, it's fear of not being loved well enough. It's fear of being abandoned again. It's fear of somebody abusing you. It's fear of having somebody ghost you, or of someone taking advantage and like for money wise. It could be anything. Look at those fears, dig them out. If you have to, get a shovel and start digging through your subconscious, because you need to know what those are. You can't really work on them and have freedom from that fear. You can with energy work, I have to say, because I didn't know all my fears. I was shocked when some of them came up and left. I was excited. I was beyond excited. And I want you to look at those. If you have to dig them out, or some of them are going to be laying on the top, you're going to know what they are. It's like looking through your house. It's cluttered, and you're going, okay, well, here's some stuff I need to get rid of, and look at all the paperwork, and it's on the top layer. But then when you get all the top layer gone through and thrown out or recycled or whatever you're doing, or saved or scanned or whatever you do with that top layer of stuff at your house, then you see the stuff, you're going, oh, well, there's that thing that I haven't been able to find for 20 years, like my passport, which has wandered off in my house somewhere. It has disappeared, but it's in my house somewhere. I know it is. I just have to figure out where I hid it, because I did a darn good job of hiding that thing. Someone was coming to work, so a workman, and I didn't want to just leave it out like it was, so I put it somewhere very, very safe, because I can't find it. So that fear of him taking it made me now lose it. Okay, so the thing is that as you're coming down through the layers of things, you're going to find things that you didn't realize you had, or you knew you had these fears of, but you didn't even remember. You can't dig them out. You can't figure out where they came from. And sometimes figuring them out may take a therapist, may take a life coach, it may take a minister, or it may just take talking to somebody that's a friend to figure out where did this come from? If you've had a childhood friend, you go, hey, remember that bully? Guess what? You're still acting like that bully's after you, and you're 20 years older, 50 years older. That you don't need anymore. You can let that go. And sometimes those fears, they can go, let's see if this works, well, not quite that. They can go instantly once you know what they are and where they come from. If you can unearth the beginnings of them, you might just roll your eyes and say, I have a fear of that? That's where that came from? Oh, well, for God's sakes. And you just let it go because it makes no sense. But you were holding it so deep in the layers of that clutter of your house that it took a while to figure out where that emotion came from. Where's that fear about a specific thing coming from? But once you unearth it, you might just instantaneously shift and no longer have that fear. It may shift your whole life once you know why. And it could take 5 seconds to figure it out or years of therapy. Honestly, this is something that freedom from fear, if you ever have it, even from one piece of a fear, you're going to feel this amazing, that freedom, that peace, and that like you're floating almost. So give yourself that gift of looking at whatever fears get in your way. Don't live with them. Learn to release them. And I know I have guided visualizations and meditations you can look at to release some different things. And you can look under the playlist under meditations and visualizations and find some in there. Because some of those things you just talk to your subconscious and say, what is it down there? Let me yank it out. And sometimes that's all it takes. And sometimes, like I said, it takes a whole lot more because you buried them for a reason. They're like my passport. I buried it for a reason. I just got to find the darn thing again. Once I do, it probably will be expired, but at least I found it. Look at those fears. Some of them have expired already. Figure out what you want to do. Go from there. Because sometimes it's so simple to release a fear. And other times it's going to take some archaeological digs to figure out what they are and where they came from. But that freedom that comes is indescribable. Thank you for joining me here today. I'm Carol DeChaine, and if you want to know more about me, or you want to listen to my podcast and get a little longer version of some of these YouTube videos, you can go to Connect to Joy. That's connect, the number 2, joy.com is the website. You'll find information on life coaching, on Marconics, multidimensional energy, energy space clearing. And you can also contact me by email to ask me more, as well as to talk to me about intuitive readings. By all means, subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell notification if you want to know the next time that a video is posted. Until next time, please do know that you can have this freedom from some of these fears you may be carrying. You're worth the time, the effort, and you deserve to have a joy-filled life.